Ah, hello, dear friends, and welcome back to part 2 of this exploration of the work of Jean-Michel Basquiat, taken from this wonderfully large book, Boom for Real, which was a companion piece to the exhibition Boom for Real that took place at London's Barbican that I attended back in 2017. This next part opens up with Basquiat's infamous relationship with Andy Warhol. They were like peas in a pod when they got to know each other, and they almost took on a role of mentor and mentee. But here is a portrait of the two of them together. It's interesting, isn't it? It's in a way, it's almost encapsulating the artist's feeling of themselves against their idol. He's almost purposely chosen this childlike visage for his features, yet implemented recognizable technique on the portrait of Warhol. Photo. This is a picture, a portrait of Basquiat being photographed by Warhol, and more photos by Warhol of Basquiat. You could see they were closely knit. An image of Warhol there on felt tip pen and graphite, and Warhol with a camera pastel on paper. They're so great. They're just these grotesque visages. Absolutely fantastic. That's very powerful, that self-portrait. Look at that. That is wonderful. So strong. Peers into your soul with minimal detail, but just that outline, that visage. Here we have an untitled piece from 1981. Those skulls, those images coming through. So 193 by 239 centimetres this is. It's in a museum in Rotterdam, but you can imagine like being confronted with such a large. There is something historic about it. The colours. It's really calling on the iconography and the culture. I guess this feels a little bit like his the culture from Haiti, right? Or Haiti. Just, but there's just power and swell and energy to it. Like I get the feeling of fire and I get the feeling of shimmer, heat, shimmer and movement. These are flyers for art shows. Wednesday at A's. All of it's so achingly cool. A postcard from Basquiat to Warhol from Honolulu. Oh, dear Andy, I am here and you are not. You know, darling, I miss you. Andy, a little X, a lot Y. Sorry, I'm happy as can be on Maui. I hope you are okay, are not ill, having a good time without me. I'll be home on time, Andy. 3 weeks late, Andy. Ain't coming back. Sorry, Andy. Aloha, you're loving whatever. Jean-Michel and Paige. Even sending a postcard has these lovely creative bents to it, leaving blanks so he can fill in the name as if he's sending them to everyone. More flyers. David Bowie. Basquiat's Wave. Jazz. essay for the seminal Basquiat exhibition at the Whitney, Robert Farris Thompson recalled a visit to Basquiat's studio in February 1985. Basquiat activated an LP of free Afro-Cuban and other kinds of jazz. Then he resumed work on an unfinished collage. He did this with a riffing insistence, matching the music. So again, that's another thing that you perhaps don't necessarily recognise when you're looking at the art at first glance, is that there is something in the creation of the art itself that is so appealing, placing, music, jazz, and working in a frenzy on a large canvas or an improvised canvas of foam or whatever, and just producing these works that are just obviously coming from the forefront of his mind or in the recesses of his mind, or released via music. Fantastic blues there, King Zulu. Lovely. Plastic sax. All of these images of snapshots through a kaleidoscope. Japanese kanji all over and kaboom. Arm and hammer. So Warhol, of course, would be very renowned for these pop culture works, like the Campbell's Soup and all of that. So here's some Arm and Hammer, but then Basquiat's insertion there as well. Almost like a coin, commemorative one sent with his jazz sax playing it. Ramel's E.V.K. Rob, produced with cover artwork by Jean-Michel Basquiat. I mean, that's great, isn't it? Imagine having that as your artwork on your album. It's amazing. Here, look at this. It's a crazy mess of Australia. There's sugar cube horses, wait since once giggling, surprise attack, so be it, so be it, so be it, so be it, razor, swords, knives, hoes, bill hooks, axes, pillies, pounds, 1,000 times. It's just, a kind of mess of lists and thoughts and books and oil stick, graphite and coloured pencil. The oil stick is an interesting one, isn't it? Just literally taking a stick and running rampant on a canvas. Alto saxophone. Lovely coloured pencil and pen on paper. Black Beauty, White Heat, a pictorial history of classic jazz. Obviously a big influence on Basquiat. Is that King Zulu? It's a lovely book, isn't it? It's so comprehensive. There's another quote from him. I get my facts from books, stuff on atomizers, the blues, ethyl alcohol, geese and Egyptian glyphs. Don't take credit for my facts. The facts exist without me. He took inspiration from a dizzying array of source material. In many ways, his style of working, with books spread open on the studio floor, records playing and the television always on, anticipated the bombardment of information in our digital culture today. That's true. He's a bit ahead of his time in that respect. Actually, it does. Thinking about that, that's very interesting. It's almost as if his paintings are like the social media videos you see, or the TikToks where somebody's describing or talking about something on the top half of the image, and then underneath it you've got like some gameplay of Grand Theft Auto or craft or something playing at the same time, almost as if the creator doesn't anticipate we'd be able to hold our attention on what is being said, so we are bombarded with imagery to go along with what's being said and other imagery. It's quite similar, if you think about it, to these paintings, isn't it? It's very interesting. Basquiat's books. Well, a huge piece called Pegasus here, which is graphite and coloured pencil. Just loads of thoughts. World famous thesis, various studies of human anatomy and world history. Now, I must confess, I have this on a t-shirt. This is on the back of my t-shirt, my black t-shirt from H&M. I think I'm wearing it right now, actually. I love it. It gets a lot of comments from people who don't know what it is, but I'm very glad to tell them who it is so they can go on their journey of seeing more of Basquiat's work. Matisse. This is his, obviously his snapshot, his mental snapshot of the world of Paris upon a visit. Didion and Boone. Untitled, written on the back of canvases or written on coloured pencil on folded brown paper. Just writing the Dripton Splash style. Did comic strip images. Combined paintings, uses Coca-Cola bottles, clothing, electric fans and radios, pioneer pop art. Young Picasso, old Picasso. I'm interested in the this. Is it almost as if he's saying, ignore the old, focus on the youth, focus on the beauty? Or maybe the old didn't want to be seen, or doesn't want to be recognised. Jawbone of an ass. Listing all of the, listing a number of famous ancient Greek, or before Greek individuals, Egyptian individuals, a historical piece. Piscine versus the best hotels, or piscine. These. It's like collage meets chaos, isn't it? With the production of these, is he writing them out while he's playing music and just rushing out thoughts into whatever comes into his head and combining that with imagery that he sees? It's fascinating. Leonardo da Vinci's greatest hits. This was made at Basquiat Studio at 151 Crosby Street in the run-up to his exhibition at the Fun Gallery in the East Village. In 1982, he drew heavily from his edition of Leonardo da Vinci, while making this multi-panel work, sampling from the book as if creating a best-of album. So yeah, it's multiple canvases put together, which again, when you see it in person, is fantastic. Jack Johnson and Moses and the Egyptians. Famous recto and verso, front to back. Jesse refers to or relates to Jesse Owens, the black track and field athlete who won a total of 4 gold medals at the 36 Olympic Games. His name features in the upper right corner of the composition alongside 2 Nazi swastikas referencing the Berlin setting of the Games, which Hitler saw as an opportunity to promote the notion of racial supremacy. Owens very famously, of course, supported that idea with an extraordinary world records that would remain unbeaten for a quarter of a century to follow. His death in 1980 may have well prompted the making of this work, which Basquiat playfully retitled in the top right as Famous Negro Athletes number 47. repeated appearance of peco, which is Spanish for chest, suggests that Basquiat may have been familiar with some of Owen's biography, such as the fact that as a child his mother, who could not afford medical treatment, used a sterilised kitchen knife to remove a fibrous lump from his chest. Technicolor may well relate to the fact that the 1936 Olympic Games were the first to be televised, broadcast to 41 countries around the globe. Wonderful colours. Obviously the skull and skeletons and joints and bibliography and bibliography, the Bible and this and other religious tomes are very important to him. The famous crown again, tuxedo, silkscreen on canvas. Glenn, from a private collection. I think I know who owns this actually. Somebody big in the finance world. But yeah, fantastic piece there. Just incredible mask-like visage spewing out works. It's so fascinating to me. Folklore. Oh, are these runes? I've not seen these before. Described like this. Mother with one child. Mother dies. Surviving child with seed of life. Men fight. Man dies. Friendship among men. The family. One child dies. Widow and children. Interesting. Some work from Grey's Anatomy, of course. And the screen. In 1985, a British film crew shot footage of Basquiat drawing in front of the television, crouched over reams of paper with a toolkit of drawing supplies to hand. The artist translated the violent imagery on screen into a frenzied drawing. The raptured relationship with the television was not rare for Basquiat. In an interview with Becky Johnston and Tamra Davis in 1985, he reflected, "I'm usually in front of the television. I have to have some source material around me to work off." The persistent proximity to the screen is indicative of how television and film exerted a lifelong fascination for the artist. You can see that in his work, can't you, with the way it's fragmented thoughts and images and things just jumping into his mind at any one time. That universal there, for example. Cathode. Some photos of him in his room, television close to hand, on set for TV party, drawing in his studio. Untitled self-portrait. I think this is what he was drawing when he was in front of the television. Yeah, you can see, can't you, just I can see how television would influence that, if you know what I mean. That's also in my, on my t-shirt, so this is on the front of the t-shirt I'm wearing now, this bit here, crack, milk, sugar, dextrose, sugar-coated corn puff. A panel of experts, it's called, which marks a pivotal moment in his practice, created for his solo exhibition at the Fun Gallery in November 1982. The work is composed on canvas, stretched over wooden supports bound together by twine. The crossed bars exposed at each corner. Improvised supports became a trademark of Basquiat's work during this period, employed for Leonardo da Vinci's greatest hits and Busy versus the Best Hotels, which were also displayed in the show. As a young child, Basquiat had aspired to be a cartoonist. Later, he often worked in front of the television in his studio, creating gestural drawings inspired by what he was watching. The striking competition of a panel of experts could allude to the form of the small screen. A painted black frame masks out the majority of the surface, leaving two patches of exposed white canvas populated by cartoon-like drawings. On the right, a bespectacled bird, accompanied by the words beep beep, perhaps alludes to the road runner whose exploits were chronicled in a slapstick fashion in the series Looney Tunes. To the left, a Superman-like character is hit by lightning, accompanied by the repeated word crack, relating to the comic book tradition of writing out onomatopoeic sound effects. The explicit reference to Saturday morning cartoon further underlines the great influence that television exerted on Basquiat's practice. Other phrases, sugar-coated corn puffs TM and milk sugar dextrose, evoke the morning ritual of breakfast while watching cartoons. Almost like electrical images of the workings of a television, entitled All Stars. In this work on paper, he fuses his deep interest in jazz music with a sophisticated critique of the representations of black Americans in the entertainment industry. The title All Stars, offering on torn pink paper at the top of the sheet, refers to Charlie Parker's All Stars, the band that Parker played with his famed Savoy and Dial studio sessions in '48. Basquiat constantly had the television on in his studio as he worked, playing cartoons and countless other programs from his extensive collection. References to a range of cartoons in this work indicate his ardent interest in the complexities of the medium. The title of Aesop's Fables, the first cartoon with a synchronized soundtrack, appears near the top of the sheet. The history of sound technology was a recurring preoccupation for Basquiat. To the right, he includes a series of lines of text in red, all titles of cartoons from the Out of the Inkwell series produced by Max Fleischer. Alice in Wonderland. You can see he's leaning more into his childhood desires. A book on the Warner Brothers story, which obviously would have been quite influential for him. Oh wow. Is that blackface? Yes it is. Well, oh my word. Not a good look, is it? An interview here between Basquiat and Jeff Dunlop and Sandy Nairn. So a transcript of him. Do you think your paintings work better in some places than in others because you literally worked on the streets at one time, didn't you? Yes. Do you think it has a different impact or comes across in a different way in different places, like a gallery or in a home? You know, in the different ways in which you can see a painting. I think I like seeing them in museums more than anything else, but I've seen them in all those different places. I don't object to seeing them there, you know, it's just a part of it. When you see them in a museum, do you feel that you are part of tradition? You're moving along in a line? Yes, very much so. Does that give you a good feeling? Yes, I think art is very important. Why do you think it's important? What makes you think it's a good thing to be doing? The greatest treasures of the world are art, pretty much. They're the most lasting. They are still here after people, and I don't know, it's just a clear picture, you know. Is there anything that really affected you from any age, kind of thing you might see in a museum? Anything can act as an influence. If I see a painting from the Middle Ages, I can see their life, I can see how people were. Like seeing a sculpture from Africa, I can see the tribe, I can see the life around it. You can definitely see that's what he's trying to do with his work, almost make it a time capsule of the way he sees the world. Here's a chronology of his life, from being born in 1960, covering all of the things that we've talked about, all of his works and the reductions of his works. Warhol v. Basquiat paintings, with a great poster there. 1986. There we have a blow-up of his work. I think he passed away in 1986. can't quite remember how or why. I don't think it's mentioned in this book. I suppose it's not necessary. Oh no, it is here, yeah. 12th of August, Basquiat dies at his Great Jones Street loft at the age of 27. The autopsy report from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, Manhattan Mortuary, lists the case of death as acute mixed drug intoxication. His private funeral is held at the Frank E. Campbell Funeral Chapel on Madison Avenue and 81st Street. Intended by immediate family and close friends, including Keith Haring, Francesco Clemente, and Paige Powell. Jeffrey Deitch delivers a eulogy. Basquiat is buried at Greenwood Cemetery, Brooklyn. On the 5th of November, a memorial gathering is held at St. Peter's Church on Lexington Avenue and 54th Street, attended by around 300 of his friends and admirers. Band members from Grey perform music. Susan Malouk reads A.R. Penk's poem for Basquiat, and Fab Five Freddy recites Langston Hughes' Genius Child. This is a song for the genius child. Sing it softly, for the song is wild. Sing it softly as ever you can, lest the song get out of hand. Nobody loves a genius child. Can you love an eagle, tame or wild? Can you love an eagle, wild or tame? Can you love a monster, a frightening name? Nobody loves a genius child. Kill him, and let his soul run wild. It's a huge book, and there is more. We have more books on the bookcase for his works as well, which we may come back to one day. But a fantastic artist and a fascinating life. Thank you for joining me for this read-through, part 2 of Basquiat's life and times and work. I look forward to having